Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week. So that means cutting all my vegetables and making things that take a bit of time. So today I'm going to make a salsa. And for that, I'm just going to roughly cut up this onion, or at least half of it. And that can go in my little mini food processor. So as always, I'm going to start by going over the menu while I cut up some more onions, and I'll tell you exactly what I'll be using everything for. So, for lunch today, as usual on Sundays, I'm going to have some sandwiches, and I'm going to have some whole wheat triangle rolls with some ham, and I'll put some cucumber on it and some lettuce. I still have a little bit of lettuce left over from last week, so. And yeah, I usually eat low carb, keto friendly for lunch, but on the weekends I have my cheat days. So, and then for dinner tonight, I'm gonna have some shawarma on some pita, and I'll have that with peppers, onions, some lettuce, cucumber. So then we're on Monday, Meatless Monday. For lunch, I'm gonna do an omelet or frittata. Don't know yet, because frittatas are a lot easier to make than omelets. So we'll just see how that turns out. But yeah, it's just gonna have lots and lots of veggies in it. And then for dinner, I'm gonna have some mac and cheese. So that's one of the things I need a little bit of yellow onion for, because I'll put some yellow onion in it, some garlic, and obviously cheese, milk, that kind of stuff. So then I'm dicing up this red onion, and I'm slicing up the other one. So that was Monday. For Tuesday, for lunch, I'm gonna do some chicken with some broccoli. Haven't decided yet what kind of chicken. I could do chicken drumsticks from the air fryer. I could do like a chicken breast or chicken thighs. We'll see exactly what kind of chicken, but just a simple meal. And then for dinner, I usually do Taco Tuesdays. I'm stretching the format a little bit. I'm doing some tacos. So, not tacos, nachos. So that's what I need the salsa for. So I'm just going to blitz that up in a bit. But first I'm going to cut all my vegetables like I always do. And then I'll do all the other things that need prepping. So nachos, then for lunch on Wednesday, I should say, you never hear me mention breakfast. That's just because I don't really eat breakfast. I'm just not a breakfast person. So I don't prep anything for that. If I do have breakfast, it's like some yogurt with some fruit or something like that. But me having breakfast is rare. Anyway, we're on Wednesday for lunch. I'm going to do Brussels sprout with some bacon lardons and just a bunch of veggies. So just saute that. And then for dinner, I'm going to do some tandoori chicken. So I'm going to marinate that in some tandoori spices and some yogurt. And then put that on a skewer and grill that in my Ninja Foodi. And I'm going to make some homemade naan with that. So that's also with just yogurt, some flour. I might actually use some chickpea flour as well. And did I say yogurt already? Self-raising. You can use either self-raising flour, or if you don't have that, I don't usually have self-raising flour. I just have regular flour with a little bit of baking powder. That's exactly what self-raising flour is. It already has the baking powder added. So since I don't use a lot of flour, I don't keep regular flour and self-raising. I just make my own self-raising flour. And then let's just quickly slice up these spring onions. I'm going to use them in my salsa. I'm going to use them as a topping for my mac and cheese, just for a bit of color. And I'll just use them in my stir fry or whatever if I have any left. So that was Wednesday. On Thursday, I'm going to do some chicken with some green beans. Again, I don't know what kind of chicken yet. Am I going to do a breast? Am I going to do some drumsticks, a thigh, some chicken skewers? I can do a bunch of things. And then for dinner, I'm going to do some pasta with some beef, some ground beef, and that will use up a lot of the veggies that I might have left over, like my spring onions. If I have onions left over, I'll use peppers. It's a good way to use up all kinds of veggies. And then for Friday, Fish Friday, for lunch, I'm going to do some tuna salad on low-carb crackers. So that's tuna, mayo, some celery, some of the finely diced red onion that I did. Maybe I'll do some curry powder with it. And I have these low-carb wraps. Not low-carb wraps, low-carb crackers. High fiber, low carb. That I'll be having that with. And then for dinner, I'm going to do some baked fish. So I bought that already. It has like a crust on it with veggies and like breading and things like that. And just shove that in the oven. And I'll have that with some broccoli and some kind of potato. I haven't decided yet what kind of potato. Last week on Friday, Valentine's Day, I had these heart-shaped, like they're like potato puree kind of thing that were shaped into hearts. I still have some of those left over. I could use those, or I can do some potato wedges because I have some regular potatoes still. So we'll just see what I feel like on Friday. But yeah, that's the menu. I'm just cutting up some garlic for the pasta, for the Brussels sprout, the stir fry, for the salsa as well. I am going to blend this all up, so I don't need it super fine for that, but since I want to keep the salsa chunky, I'm already cutting up most of the things, and I just want to like blitz it for like a few seconds at most, just to keep it chunky still. So let me just work through this. And oh yeah, another thing a couple of people asked now recently is do these veggies last the whole week? Don't they go slimy or go bad? Or in short, not really. Kind of depends on the kind of vegetable. So some vegetables last better than others, but as a whole, as long as you're using fresh produce, it will easily last a couple of days. So things that don't last super long are really wet things. Like tomatoes, I wouldn't go over like a day or three maybe, because they do sometimes go a little bit slimy. So I just, if I use tomatoes, I'll push those to the start of the week, or if I use them in like a salsa or something, then they will keep for longer. It's just if you cube them up or something. And another thing that doesn't last like a week is a cucumber, for example, because that either dries out or it will go slimy. So those are also I push to the front of the week, so I don't have that problem. It's all about planning, really. So, but most veggies, they will easily last until the end of the week. Especially harder vegetables like carrots, onions, anything from the cabbage family like broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, whatever. And yeah, just if you're not sure if it's gonna last, you can always if you go to the store and you look for the pre-cut vegetables, anything you'll find in those bags are probably good to keep for at least a couple of days at home. So yeah, and the only other thing is just use fresh produce. If it's not going to last the week uncut, it's definitely not going to last the week after you cut it. So that's it's a really simple thing to say. So just make sure you get the freshest produce and you're good to go. So I always prep on Sunday, and I always prep for meals up until Friday. So that's 5 days max. So yeah, that's always going to be fine. Okay, next step, we're going to have some chilies, again for the salsa, for the pasta, for the shawarma, for the stir fry with Brussels sprouts. I'm just going to cut them into little rings, and again, even though the salsa is going to get blended, I want to keep that nice and chunky, so I want it relatively fine going in. So that's chilies done. So those can go in a container. Speaking of these containers, people always ask, I mentioned in a bunch of videos, but people might not have seen all of my videos, obviously. So I'll say it again. These are from the Modula series by Maple or Meepal, however you want to call that. So people always, that's the most asked question on my my channel, what the containers are that I use. So here I have some peppers, I have some red and some green, and I'm going to cut them into different shapes. I'm going to do strips for things like my shawarma, and I'm going to cut them into cubes for things like the pasta maybe. So for that, I'll just cut these in half. I prefer these pointy peppers, but you can use regular peppers. These are just a bit smaller and just easier to cut. So that's why I prefer these. So like I said, some I'll just slice into little ribbons. I'll do half of this green, so that can go in a container. And the other half of this green I will cut into some cubes, so I'll just cut that lengthwise and then across. And then I'll repeat that process for these red peppers. That is peppers. And then for my salsa, I also need some tomatoes. So I'm just gonna cut them into quarters. I'll take the seeds out because I don't want all that moisture. And then I'll cut them a bit smaller again, just because I don't want to over mix it. So I'm cutting it into smaller chunks already. And that can also go in my mini food processor. And just I'll do, how many am I gonna do? These are pretty big tomatoes, so I'll do probably 3, maybe 4. I'll have a look at the volume after I cut them. Yeah, I think 3 is going to be enough, so I'll save those for another time. Then next up, let's do some cucumber. I'm just going to cut them into slices. I'm doing 2. I'm going to use some slices for my sandwiches later. I'm going to use some for the pita. And I'll just mix this with some red onion to make like a, I guess you call it a salad for my, to go with my naan and tandoori chicken, which is really just red onion and cucumber, nothing else. I don't do dressing or anything like that. And for something simple, that's really nice. So that's cucumber done. Then let's do some carrot. I have 3 carrots here. I'm just going to cut them in slices for my pasta for my sauteed Brussels sprouts with lots of veggies. So let me just use these up. So these are washed, by the way, and the skin is really thin, so I'm not going to bother peeling them, especially since I'm slicing them really fine. Then next up, I have some celery to go in my tuna salad. So let's just cut off the tip, score it lengthwise. And I just have one big rib and a smaller one just to use that all up. Just gonna cut that nice and fine. And this will just give a nice little bit of crunch in my salad. Then next up, I have some green beans for one meal with some chicken. So I'm just gonna top and tail them. You know how it goes with green beans. So I'll just do that for this whole bunch. There we go. And then here I have some broccoli that I'm gonna use for 2 meals. I'm just gonna cut off the florets. I'm gonna save the stem. And I'm just going to make sure these florets are bite-sized pieces, so the bigger ones I'll just cut in half. There we go, and like I said, these I'll save for another time. I use that for things like broccoli, rice, or stir-fries and things like that. Then I have a whole bunch of Brussels sprouts here. I'm just going to cut the end off, take the outer leaves off, and I'll cut them in half. And that is for my stir fry. Okay, that is Brussels sprouts. So I'm going to just clean this up. You can save a lot of time if you buy pre-cleaned Brussels sprouts, but this is a cheaper way and I don't mind doing it. So, and then the last thing for chopping is I have some cilantro that's going to go in my salsa. So it's going to get mixed up, so I'm just going to give it a rough chop. And I'm just saving the stems for things like a curry paste. Maybe I'll do a curry next week or something. So this can go in with my other salsa ingredients. And to this, I'm also going to add a little bit of chili and some garlic. And just because I can, I'll also add a little bit of pepper. And to this, I'll add some salt, cumin, and I will juice 1 lime. And for those curious how long this took, I'm at 33 minutes, and all I need to do now is just pulse this real quick. So that's my salsa done. It's nice and chunky still. So that can go in the fridge, ready for Tuesday when I make my nachos. And then I have one more thing that I almost forgot. Have some cheese for my mac and cheese, but also for my nachos. So I'll just quickly grate this. This is just some English cheddar, because that's the cheese I have at the moment. So I'll just make enough for those 2 things. There we go. That's everything prepped for the week. I can now have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. If you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday, and about once a month I post a video on here where I show you everything I eat in a day for the whole week. I posted one recently, I think 2 weeks ago now. Or you can also check out my Instagram where I post every single meal. So yeah, that took me a little over 30 minutes, and now I can have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. So if you like this, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Until next time, bye for now.